Yahoo Sports Countdown to Kickoff is presented by Sleep Number, Acura, and by Verizon.
We are just 3 days away from Super Bowl 56 at SoFi Stadium, the first big game to be staged in Southern California in nearly 20 years, as the Cincinnati Bengals face off against the hometown Los Angeles Rams. We welcome you inside our virtual studio for Countdown to Kickoff as we get set for the big game. I'm Liz Loza, and over the next hour, we'll hit it all, the biggest Super Bowl storylines, take a trip into the sportsbook, and look back on the season that led us here. Before we dig into this matchup, though, let's go around the horn and say hello to the crew. I'm going to start with senior NFL reporter Charles Robinson. C-Rob, what about this matchup intrigues you the most?
Well, if anybody remembers, 3 years ago, Sean McVay was walking off a Super Bowl field having only scored 3 points. And afterwards said, I realized in the middle of the game that Bill Belichick had basically outmastered me with some of the changes that he had made. Now in this game, we're going to see a little bit of master and apprentice between Sean McVay and his former offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, Zach Taylor. It's going to be interesting to see what Sean McVay learned the first time around, and he definitely has to come off out of this one for his reputation with more than 3 points.
Oh, it sounds like the pressure is on for the Rams. I want to kick it over to our NFL and betting writer, Frank Schwab. Frank, what are you tracking ahead of Sunday's big game?
Liz, to me, it's the matchup itself. Even though the NFL probably wouldn't have handpicked these two teams, I think it's going to be a great game. You look, the Bengals have all these stars on offense. The Rams have all these stars, period, playing in their home stadium, SoFi Stadium. I think this is an excellent matchup. Not the one we expected, but I think we're going to get a heck of a game on Sunday.
Oh, agreed. Former NFL safety Tank Williams is here, and he's our resident DFS expert. I have to know, Tank, as someone who used to suit up on the gridiron professionally, what's got you excited about Sunday's matchup?
Man, what's good, Lizzie? Honestly, this may sound generic as hell, but I just want a really good game. Like after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the brakes off the Chiefs last year, and that game wasn't competitive from the start, I'm just looking forward to a really good game. We have some of the biggest stars in NFL lining up between the white lines. We'll have some of the biggest stars in the world sitting underneath that stadium in SoFi. And so I just want the game to replicate everything that we've seen in this 2021 NFL season. If these teams can ball out and put forth the kind of ball that we've seen in the regular season and the playoffs, I feel like what happens between those white lines is going to be something magical.
I'm hearing a theme of big stars, studs, the whole thing. Minty, to that point, the Super Bowl is typically one of the biggest betting events of the year. How crazy is it been for the books?
I mean, it's been pretty busy, but this is the calm before the storm. We're seeing a lot of money on both teams. However, surprisingly, we've only received one six-figure bet so far, but we're definitely expecting more throughout the weekend.
You all have mentioned the matchup and the history and the sports book, but hello, I am hyped to see the Andre Young coaching tree on full display and percolating. If you know, you know. And in Cali, no less. This game is going to be lit, no pun intended. Over the next hour, we'll be breaking down some key matchups, deciding who will be difference makers, and predicting who we think will hoist the Lombardi Trophy on Sunday night. We also have a special edition of Eckler's Edge with myself, Chargers running back Austin Eckler, and 49ers receiver Deebo Samuel from Radio Row. Shaliz Manza-Young will take us on a tumultuous journey of the NFL over the past 12 months, and we'll even dig into, some iconic Super Bowl halftime shows. But before we do all of that, y'all, it's the Super Bowl, so we have to talk quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford in his first season in Los Angeles, and sophomore Joe Burrow bringing the Bengals back to the Super Bowl for the first time since 1989. The two starting signal callers spoke to the media about their team's locker room chemistry earlier this week.
As quarterback, your job is to be an extension of coaching staff in the locker room. And so, whatever Zach says to the team, your job is to amplify it throughout the rest of the locker room. And I'm not the only one that's doing that. We have, great leaders in that locker room to kind of permeate that culture throughout the entire building. And really, that's a rare thing. Not I haven't been a lot of places that have that, and I think that's really what breeds championships.
It's unbelievable what Sean's been able to do since he got here, you know, taking the team to the Super Bowl and playoff runs, it seems like every single year. So I obviously didn't have that at the beginning of my, you know, career. But it's, you know, at the same time, you know, it's made me the player that I am, the teammate that I am. So I'm definitely appreciative for the opportunity. Know that they're extremely, you know, few and far between and tough to come by, and something that can only be achieved through a bunch of hard work, a bunch of guys pulling in the same direction. So just proud to be a part of this team and excited for the opportunity.
All right, fam, let's talk about these two quarterbacks, both at different points in their careers, obviously. Frank, you heard Stafford mention the lack of success in the early part of his career, but you have a bold take here about what this game means to the Rams quarterback.
Yeah, Liz, I think we need to start wrapping our heads around the fact that if Matthew Stafford and the Rams win the Super Bowl, he's going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame someday. If you look at the history of quarterbacks with his counting stats and a Super Bowl ring, they're all in the Hall of Fame, except for Eli Manning, who I think is going to get there. Stafford, the whole narrative changes with him with one win. It's, you excuse everything that happened in Detroit earlier in his career. You just say, oh, the Lions screwed him up. Look, he went to the Rams the first year there. He wins the Super Bowl. This Super Bowl is huge for Stafford. We know what Super Bowl rings mean to legacies with quarterbacks, and nobody in this game has more on the line than Matthew Stafford. Again, whether you agree, whether you don't agree, we need to start getting around the idea that if Matthew Stafford and the Rams win this, Matthew Stafford is on his way to Canton someday.
Oh, I mean, Tank, I saw your face when Frank dropped that Hall of Fame size hot take. I'm guessing you don't think it's that simple.
Well, you know, I feel where Frank's coming from, but, you know, I'm not out here to hand out participation Hall of Fame jackets, because the way I look at it is this, like, context is that thick substance that encapsulates everything that we do and adds meaning to it. Now, my man Matthew Stafford, if he goes out there and he balls out under those bright lights and he puts his fingerprints all over this Super Bowl game, then I feel like he's earned himself a gold jacket. But if he goes out there and he leans on a strong running game and that defense hops on Joe Burrow's neck real quick, like, and he really doesn't do too much to contribute to the win, then I don't think that automatically gets him into the game, because momentum is a hell of a drug, but it goes both ways. Like, momentum has a lot of downward pressure on Stafford's career, yet at the same time, let's look at Joe Burrow. This is a dude that had the transfer from Ohio State to LSU, won himself a national championship, gets drafted by the Bengals after they only won 2 games, came out, showed out a little bit in his rookie year, tears his ACL. Comes back this year, wins the AFC North. Wins the first playoff game for the Cincinnati Bengals since I was knee-high to a gumdrop. Knocked off the #1 seed in the AFC. Knocked off the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes after what he did to the Buffalo Bills. So I feel like if my man Joe Burrow can overcome all that and then top it off with a Super Bowl win, yeah, it may sound crazy, but this dude may damn well secure himself a gold jacket in 2 seasons. Now, obviously, context. You have to go out and continue to play well throughout your career, but winning a Super Bowl with all that already stacked up behind you that you've already done, I mean, my man Joe Burrow can already be a gold jacket baby GOAT after 2 years in the league.
My goodness, Tank, it surprises no one that you and I are already vibing on the same page. Yes, let's talk about the legend of Joe Cool, because it was kissed into existence when Joey B lit that celebratory cigar after winning the Natty. And you know what? You're right. He has lived up to that billing, whether it was via his 8.9 YPA, tub thumping his way to a victory, and yes, I know I'm dating myself, over the Titans after having been sacked 9 times, or lighting yet another stogie after becoming the new king of the North. Burrow has been as advertised. He has leaned into this idea of being an underdog long before Vegas opened the odds on Sunday's game. We're going to talk about the Bengals' deficiencies, but Joe Burrow's cool, his poise, his processing speed, his resilience, none of that can be overlooked. Charles, you got to wrap us up here. Where do you stand on these 2 quarterbacks?
A lot of big words for both these guys. I'll agree with Frank. I think this game for Matt Stafford has an opportunity to reframe the previous 12 years of his career. We'll look at Matt Stafford the way that we've looked at Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson and often wondered what would have happened if they had gone afield. Two great era-defining players. What could they have done in a Super Bowl, perhaps with another franchise? I think if Matt Stafford crosses that bridge here with the Rams, we'll now sort of have a little bit of an answer to a question when it comes to a defining era player leaving the Lions and going somewhere where a franchise knows how to use him. Now, Burrow, when we talk about defining the previous 12 years of Matt Stafford's career, I think we'd be talking about defining the next 12 for Joe Burrow. Remember, this is an AFC where we spent all our time the last few years talking about Patrick Mahomes. This guy's going to, absolutely dominate the NFL, dominate the AFC for the next 10 years, 10, 15 years. And then all of a sudden we start talking about, well, maybe Lamar Jackson can challenge him. Maybe Josh Allen can challenge him. Who can knock him off? Well, guess what? It's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow did what Josh Allen couldn't. He did what Lamar Jackson couldn't. He kept Patrick Mahomes out of a Super Bowl, and now he's got an opportunity to win it in only his second year for a franchise that, as Frank and both Tanks said, remember, 2 years ago, they're wrapping up a season with 2 wins. That's crazy.
So I'm hearing lots of questions regarding the legacies of these quarterbacks. We know for sure, though, there will be lots of cash on what they do on Sunday. So let's head into the sportsbook. Minty has some trends that she's keeping an eye on. Hit us with them, Minty.
Yes, let's give you some trends and line moves from the book. Starting off with some trends. Super Bowl favorites are 35-20 straight up and 27-26-2 against the spread. The winner has failed to cover the spread only 6 times in Super Bowl history, going 47-6-2 against the spread. And last trend, my favorite one, underdogs are 10-4 against the spread the last 14 Super Bowls. Now, the Rams opened up as 3.5-point favorites with a total of 50.5. The line is currently at Rams -4.5 with a total of 48.5. This means that earlier last week, a lot of people were loving the Rams to cover and they were loving the under. That's not the case now. To see how money is moving, I got to catch up with Director of Trading for BetMGM, Jeff Stoneback on Mad Bets. It's time for a little look ahead from the sportsbook for the big game between the Bengals and Rams. I'm Minty Betts, joined by Director of Trading for BetMGM, Jeff Stoneback. Jeff, now out of the two teams, which poses a bigger liability for you guys in terms of futures bets?
Actually, we are in a very good situation. Both teams are going to be about equal as far as a win for us. So, it would have been a whole different story if Tampa, Dallas, or Green Bay had got in there. So, fortunately, those teams got knocked off, and we're sitting in a great situation. Both teams about equal for the futures and winners, which is good.
Okay, now is there an MVP pick that sticks out to you guys in terms of liability?
Yeah, we have a couple of them. The most tickets written is Aaron Donald, so we've got a large liability on him. He's 12-1 right now. He opened up at 16-1, so I figure, I'm sure the public figures that Burrow got sacked 9 times a couple games ago, so Aaron Donald may have a few sacks on his own, and they win the game, he'd be MVP. And then you've got Cooper Kupp. He's number 2 liability and a number of tickets written, and then Joe Burrow is number 3 liability and also his tickets written.
As we head closer to Sunday night, what is the best possible scenario for you guys?
Well, the best possible scenario if it kicked off right now, and I'm sure it'll be the same when it does kick off on Sunday, almost like every other year. The best case scenario for us is that the favorite wins the game. That would be the Rams winning the game, but not covering the point spread. So Rams winning by 3 or less would be the best case scenario, because always on the Super Bowl, there's always a lot of bets on the dog money line, and that's the situation with the Super Bowl this year.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff.
It's time for game-changing sleepers presented by Sleep Number. Now, we normally think about sleepers in the fantasy football sense, but in the big game, there are always some surprises. Our esteemed panel is here to break down some players who've been hot in the playoffs and could be game day sleepers. Tank? Some might say you were a game changer on the defensive side of the ball. So who are you eyeing here?
Yeah, I wish I was a game changer like this dude. This is Leonard Floyd, that outside linebacker for the Los Angeles Rams. And honestly, he's more than a game changer. This dude is a dog. Like, when you think about the Rams defense, automatically Aaron Donald, Von Miller, like those are the guys that come to mind. But this is a dude that had 10.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss if you include what he's done in the postseason. And this is going to be a guy who's going to have every opportunity to ball out in Super Bowl, because I look at it like this. In the Matrix, you remember the girl with the red dress on? Like, when everyone's focused on the red dress, it allows the person on the side to kind of sneak up on you and put the gun to the head. Like, everyone's going to be focused on Von Miller. Everyone's going to be focused on Aaron Donald. My man Leonard Floyd's going to have that one-on-one on the backside, and if he could take advantage, my man Joe Burrow better be Neo, because if not, he's going to be in trouble.
All right. Charles, why don't you hit us next with your choice?
Well, you know what? You go back to 2006, Adam Vinatieri, the Indianapolis Colts go on to win the Super Bowl, and Adam Vinatieri sets an NFL record. He kicks 14 field goals in the postseason. It was one of those postseason runs where you're like, man, I don't know if any kicker can ever, bypass this. Vinatieri's going to be easily, we knew he was going to be a Hall of Fame kicker. Well, guess what? Evan McPherson, Money Mac, by the way, also the best nickname on the Cincinnati Bengals, with all due respect to Joe Cool. Money Mac's 12 for 12 in these playoffs. He's hit 2 game winners, and this is a guy with a huge leg. Hit a 57-yarder at home against Miami in August. He hit a 58-yarder in Denver. I know, thin air, but still, SoFi, favorable kicking conditions. This is a player who's got an opportunity to not only best Adam Vinatieri's record 14 field goals, but I think he has an opportunity to kick another game winner in this one. He's been absolutely money, living up to his nickname. I think that we too often overlook kickers who can define themselves like Vinatieri, or on the downside become dogs like Scott Norwood. I think Money Mac is in the Vinatieri category.
Charles Robinson dropping kicker knowledge, dropping knowledge about kicking conditions. My goodness, Frank, good luck following that.
I think Tank and I are on the same page, except I'm going to have the Rams' other outside linebacker. He mentioned him. Von Miller is going to shine. We saw Super Bowl 50. We remember that. To me, that is the single greatest performance by a defensive player in Super Bowl history. Von Miller has always been great under the lights. And as Tank said, the Bengals are going to be focused on Aaron Donald. They're going to try to limit him, take him out of the game. Well, that frees things up for Von Miller. Von Miller has looked reborn since that trade from Denver. He found himself all of a sudden on a Super Bowl caliber team. And I think the lights are very bright right now, and Von Miller is going to shine. He's 50-1 to win MVP. Punch a ticket on that, because he has a chance to make a huge impact on this game, get a few sacks against that leaky offensive line, and change this game for the Rams. We've seen Von Miller do it once, and I think he could do it again.
Ooh, I like that take a lot. I want to talk about an offensive player. I want to bring up Tyler Boyd. I think he's been the forgotten man in the Bengals receiving corps, despite the fact that he was on a tear from week 15 to 19, scoring in all of those games. Admittedly, his production has cooled over the last pair of outings, but when you think about the fact that CJ Uzomah is going to be dealing with this MCL sprain, it is likely that Tyler Boyd could be Joe Burrow's go-to guy over the middle. And here is a very fun stat I found via Inside Edge. Joe Burrow has a completion rate of 72.1% on passes to the middle of the field, while the Rams allowed a completion rate of 82.4% when defending passes up the middle in the season. That was the worst in the NFL. Also, not for nothing, Tyler Boyd, just $17 in our DFS game here at Yahoo. All right, those are our game-changing sleepers presented by Sleep Number, helping NFL players gain their competitive edge by getting a quality night's sleep. It's time for our first break here on Countdown to Kickoff. When we come back, we look at iconic halftime shows and dig into some player props. Stay with us.
And thanks to my Sleep Number 360 smart bed, I woke up with so much more energy.
So you ran all the way from New York to the Super Bowl?
Ice cold lemonade!
Eric, what's your secret?
Proven quality sleep from Sleep Number.
Go, Eric, go!
I don't believe that.
That's what running backs do, ma'am. We run.
America's most reliable network is going ultra with Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband now in many more cities, so you can do more. Hey, it's Mindy! Downloading a movie up to 10 times faster than before. Oh, is that the one where the mom becomes a...
Yep.
I knew it. And Claire in HD Clarity.
Looks good.
Steve, is that jelly? This place is packed. You couldn't even send a text in a crowd before. Now look at David with the connection, posting like crazy.
It's wild.
5G Ultra Wideband is now in more and more places. Verizon is going ultra, so you can too.
I got a Mike parlay going tonight. Huh? I bet on every team with a player named Mike.
That's dumb.
It's Mike Knight.
Bet however you want. Yahoo Sportsbook is your ticket to BetMGM.
Welcome back to the show. It's time to take a little trip now down memory lane and look at some iconic halftime shows presented by Verizon. This year's Pepsi Super Bowl 56 halftime show is going ultra. Immerse yourself in a live 360-degree mobile experience with the Pepsi Super Bowl halftime show Ultra Pass, powered by Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband. This year's show features performances by Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. So, in anticipation of Sunday's show, let's highlight some of our favorite memories from previous Super Bowls. Tank, lead us off.
Man, it's hard to top this year's lineup, but boy, Prince. Man, I wish I could have been there to see Prince perform there at the Super Bowl. That dude was my favorite musician. I mean, he's a guy that can play every instrument underneath the sun. He's the only guy that can show up on stage in some pumps and a blouse and be the manliest dude on stage and rock that thing out. I mean, I watched the special on this, and I remember hearing the producers, you know, they were nervous to call Prince and say, hey, it's gonna be raining. And Prince got on the phone and said, can you make it rain more? Like, that's the most Prince thing to say ever. And he went out there, he rocked it out under these harsh conditions where the stage was slippery. I loved everything about it. And I would also be remiss if I didn't say that that Super Bowl 41 was also the first Super Bowl where we had two black coaches facing off with in the Super Bowl. And so, honestly, with everything going on right now, I think that would be a great way to remind everyone of the greatness that we saw in that Super Bowl, not only on the halftime show, but also between those white lines with those two great coaches.
Oh, very good pick, Tank, for all of the reasons you stated. Charles, what's popping up for you as iconic?
Well, I mean, iconic and memorable. I will never forget Super Bowl 38, the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots. The halftime that brought together Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson.
Ooh,
I remember sitting in the stands. I remember suddenly, as I'm watching, peering from afar, you know, I can see something going on the stage and don't quite catch it. And all of a sudden, you know, at the time, we don't have smartphones the way we do now. Everybody, I didn't see screen. All of a sudden, my phone's blowing up and people are like, did you see that? Did you see what just happened? Something just happened. Well, Justin Timberlake had mistakenly pulled off a part of Janet Jackson's wardrobe and bared a little too much for the NFL's taste to the worldwide audience. Someone forgot the dump button that day, and it became one of the most controversial halftime shows in NFL history and opened up a whole heck of a lot of meetings from that point on in terms of who are we going to put on, what kind of security is going to be in place, what conversations are we going to have with the artists before they go out and showcase their wares, and a little more than just their wares, to an audience of tens of millions. I will never, ever forget that halftime show. And oh, by the way, just for good measure, the one thing that the audiences didn't see was a world-famous streaking fan who began the second half by running out onto the field in a referee's uniform, stripping it off to nothing but a thong, and then running until he was tackled on the field by security. So yeah, it was an unusual Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, we saw the
Super
right
Bowl
part.
38. certainly a vibe in Super Bowl 38. You can tell. Well, I'm going to switch gears here. Now, I am admittedly a brethren of the block, so it should be no surprise that my favorite, iconic, memorable, pick an adjective, Super Bowl halftime event was Shakira and La Reina J-Lo doing their thing 2 years ago, making Super Bowl history as the first Latinas to headline the Super Bowl event. You had Shakira in these sequin red boots, belly dancing with a rope. Hello. J-Lo coming down from a pole, giving off fly girl vibes, and then closing it down with a duet with her daughter. She does all the things. I cannot imagine anything better, though I do think if a Super Bowl halftime show were to top that, it might be this Sunday's show. Immerse yourself in a live 360-degree mobile experience with the Pepsi Super Bowl halftime show Ultra Pass, powered by Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband. Go ahead and download the app today. All right, now let's send it over to Mickey and Frank in the sportsbook to talk props. What have you guys got over there?
What a trip down memory lane. It's time for the fun stuff, Frank. Super Bowl props. If you're betting on the big game, you gotta bet on the props. So Frank, why don't you kick us off? Give us your first prop.
You know, Mindy, I hope we agree on some of these because when we agreed during the season, it was a lock. It was lock it in. It's going to win. My first one, Odell Beckham Jr., over 63.5 yards. I think Odell Beckham has been underpriced for a while now. He's coming off his first 100-yard game with the Rams. He's been a huge part of that offense ever since they acquired him. Matthew Stafford's been trusting him more and more, getting him the ball more and more. And what we're going to see is the Bengals are going to try to limit Cooper Kupp. Easier said than done. That's going to mean a lot of targets for Odell Beckham, even extra targets with Tyler Higbee either being out or being limited with his injury. I really like Odell Beckham over 63.5 yards. I think he has a huge impact in this game. What about you, Minty?
I actually really love that, and although Cooper Kupp is somehow always wide open, I think OBJ is going to get a lot of production here. Mine is going to be on a Rams player as well, Cam Akers, and his rushing yards is set at 63.5. I'm going to go under, though, because since his return from injury, he hasn't been terribly productive, and he hasn't even reached 60 rushing yards at all this postseason. He's going to be sharing some time with Sonny Michel, so I gotta go under here. What's your next prop, Frank?
I actually agree with you on Cam Akers, too. You're right. He hasn't looked quite the same. Great story for him coming back from the Achilles, but the explosiveness just hasn't been there for Cam. I really like that. I'm going to go to the other team now. T. Higgins over 5.5 receptions. And this one's pretty easy for me. Jalen Ramsey's already lobbying to shadow Jamar Chase. That means Jamar Chase isn't going to be quite the factor we think he's going to be. Where do those targets go to? They go to T. Higgins. He's going to have an advantageous matchup. I think Joe Burrow's really going to target him a lot. We forget about T. Higgins with the Jamar Chase hype. He is one of the better receivers in this game. I think he can cruise past 5.5 receptions, going to get a ton of targets, even more so if the Bengals fall behind like I think they will. So T. Higgins over 5.5 receptions is my second prop.
I like that, and I like the plus money too. I mean, he's recorded 6+ catches this postseason already, and his season high is, I believe, 12, so I really like that one. My next one is a kicker prop. I love kicker props here, and I'm going Evan Mcpherson over 7.5 kicking points. I mean, it's just a couple field goals, a couple PATs, and he's recorded 4 field goals in each of Cincy's postseason games, and he's exceeded 8 kicking points in all of his games dating back to week 16, so I'm taking the over here. Frank, give us your last prop.
You know, Minty, I went deep into my research here, and I looked up the coin toss numbers. Tails is 29 and 26 so far, so that means what? It means regression. I'm going heads. Give me heads for the coin toss. It's going to come up that way. Heads got to start to catch up with tails in these Super Bowl coin tosses. So give me heads. I'm going to get my Super Bowl off to a winning start before a play's even made. What's your last one, Minty?
Oh, Frank, I always try to avoid the coin toss. However, I'm with you on heads here. I don't believe in the tails never fails saying. And you know what? I always call heads on a coin toss, and I'm right about 50% of the time. My last prop here is going to be a fun one. The outcome of the opening kickoff to be a return attempt for plus 145. There's no real analysis for this one, but I'm thinking that they don't want to start off this game conservatively. Therefore, I love the value here, plus 145 as the opening kickoff to result in a return attempt. We will be back shortly with our best bets. Back to you, Liz.
Thanks, Minty. You can get in on the action for free on Yahoo. Join the big game prop quiz and make your predictions on players, pop culture, and more for a chance at $10,000. Head to sports.yahoo.com/fantasyslate to enter by 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. One other way to get in on the fun is to enter a single game DFS contest. Tank and I are picking our big game ballers for Super Bowl 56, one player from each team and our superstar pick. Tank, let's run through yours first.
You know I gotta do it, Lizzie. What it do, baby? For our fantasy picks, like I love it. So I'm starting off with my man OBJLA, Odell Beckham Jr. at $23. And I know what you're thinking. If I have OBJ up in here, that means I'm probably fading Cooper Kupp, which I am. I mean, I know that's probably a contrarian take because the dude's been balling out all playoff long, but at $41, I can't mess with it. But OBJ, one of the baddest wide receivers in the game, only $23. You're getting this dude for the 5-finger discount, and we know he likes to ball out on the bright lights. He had the one-handed catch in New York, so I'm just waiting to see what he does in La. So make sure you get OBJ plugged up into that lineup. Now on the Bengals side, I'm going with that man Joe Burrow because he's so thorough. I understand that the LA Rams are really tough against fantasy quarterbacks, but every time I seem to doubt this man Joe Burrow, he proves me wrong. And if he can get off against the Titans when they sacked him 9 times, I feel like he's going to be able to keep this Bengals team in it regardless of what that defensive line throws at him. So really like Joe Burrow here at $33. So that means that my superstar is going to be Matthew Stafford. And, you may have thought I was throwing shade on him early in the show, but, hey, I just feel like he needs to go out there and earn what he deserves, and I feel like he will go out there and earn it. He's going to be set up for success. Cooper Kupp, OBJ, Cam Akers should be back. He has Van Jefferson that's also been catching deep balls for him down the middle. So I don't care who you throw it to, baby. Just make sure you throw it. He has a couple props in this game where over 279.5 pass yards. I like that one. I like the over 1.5 passing touchdowns. So if you combine those two, why not put you as my superstar for only $30? So go ahead and ball out for me, Matty Staff.
All right, well, I agree with you on Burrow for my Cincy pick, but for my Rams pick, let's give the people some value and talk up Kendall Blanton. I was high on him 2 weeks ago, and it worked out. He converted all 5 of his looks for 57 yards. Tyler Higbee didn't practice all last week. Even if he does suit up on Sunday, he figures to be compromised, and I think that Blanton, given his showing 2 weeks ago, certainly earned himself a larger role. I wouldn't mind taking, if we're expecting this to be a high-scoring game, the third receiver, tight end, but pass catcher on the Rams. So I like Blanton very much at $14. My superstar is going to be, yes, Cooper Kupp. I cannot fade a dude that Vegas has at plus 600 odds to win the Super Bowl MVP despite the fact that he's not a quarterback. It is just too much. I mean, the dude over the postseason has averaged 128.6 yards per game. That's just the postseason. He's #1 in red zone targets. He has 20 touchdowns throughout 2021 and spilling over into 22 in the postseason. If that doesn't say superstar, I don't know what does. One person that was always a profitable player in our DFS lineups was Chargers running back Austin Eckler. I had the pleasure of hosting our weekly fantasy show, Eckler's Edge, all season long, and here's a special Super Bowl edition from Radio Row earlier this week. We have a special guest, 49ers wide back, as he likes to call himself, Deebo Samuel. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you coming on, man. The conversation with you and your name is like, what are you? You're running back or receiver? Like, what do you prefer? You prefer to get handed the ball or throwing the ball?
I prefer to get through the rock.
Throwing? Yeah. That's a good answer. I was going to tell you, because if you said the handed, I was like, you got to think of the financials, right? Like,
oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I was going to say, financial decision, don't come to this side. If you want to succeed in any of them, you definitely get thrown the ball.
You see his earrings? Those are wide receiver earrings.
That's what I'm saying right there, I got to make the claim, a receiver. Like, I catch a lot of balls too, like, sheesh.
Right.
That's true. Is there a position that you think you couldn't play?
I ain't playing on the offensive line.
Good call. Good call. No, we ain't do it.
That's
nowhere.
That's for people that are built different.
The trenches are not for Deebo Samuel.
I run through the trenches, but I ain't blocking the trenches now.
You have said that Jimmy G has been your guy. How are you feeling about maybe him sticking around San Francisco, sticking around the Bay?
I don't think so. Just listening to his last press conference and listening to Cal and John, I don't think it's going to be another rodeo with Jimmy.
All right, so then that leaves Trey Lance. Any thoughts on Trey and his development over this last year?
I think Jimmy played a major role in helping Trey become a pro and showing him the ins and outs of the league and what it takes to be the guy, because Jimmy was the guy for us for 3 years. But I think personally, I feel like Trey could be a superstar in this league. But the things that he has to learn is this is officially like first off season. And I know Kyle is going to do a good job of putting a plan together in order for him to be the guy that we need him to be, because Wes Welker did that to me. And I think it helped me become the player I am, because once you have that schedule of what you need to do, how you need to do it, I mean, it takes you a long way. And once he get that down, I feel like he'll be able to get the job done.
Well, you put up a fight for fantasy managers, and this is a fantasy football show, so we should mention it all season long. You are an absolute superstar, just like my co-host here, Austin Eckler. Do you play fantasy football?
I do not. I got a million funny stories about fantasy football.
Well, please, hit us.
Well, I really didn't know about it my rookie year. So my second year, I'm getting like, Debo, you da-da-da-da. Then I'm like, why are these people like spazzing on me? Like, you doing this for my fantasy? I'm like, I don't even know like what that is or what are you even talking about? And then this year come on, oh, Debo, you're da-da-da. I'm like, all right, appreciate it.
Well, let me tell you about fantasy. There's definitely some toxicity, and that tends to be louder than the positivity. But yeah, there's a lot of people that support you. They're not even 49ers fans, but they support you as a person.
Right.
That's why I love fantasy so much, because you have so many fans that aren't even fans of the 49ers, but they like you.
Right.
Because you're on their team, right? So yeah, got to give love back to the fantasy. I love having so many fans across the nation because of fantasy football, right? That's really where the special just community part comes into it.
I think between your pass catching skills and your work out of the backfield this season, I am in the middle of a fantasy sandwich.
Yes, if you have both of us on your team, you're
guaranteed
to do work.
Guaranteed.
You're gonna do work. You're gonna do work. Let me
For
tell you
sure.
that.
Your 49ers actually beat both the Rams and the Bengals over the regular season. So can I get a Super Bowl preview from someone who played against both these teams?
Me personally, if you can contain the monsters that the Rams have up front, you got a chance. If you don't, it's going to be a long day, a real, real long day. But if you can get the ball out quick, I mean, the Bengals got a good chance. But if you, like I just stated, if you can't contain Aaron Donald and the boys, no chance of winning this game.
Let's talk about the Bengals defense. Do you think they have what it takes to contain Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, OBJ?
I mean, honestly, just keeping it real, don't nobody have an answer for them.
Yeah.
Nobody has an answer for Cooper Kupp, and then get along Odell is becoming Odell again. So now you have another problem. Then you got Cam Akers running the ball the way he's been running the ball off Achilles, which is unreal. And Matthew Stafford is playing really, really good ball right now. So me personally, I don't think nobody got an answer for him. It just showed all year long. I think I take the Rams.
You think the Rams are going to win?
I got to rock with the NFC anyway, so and I'm gonna rock with the Rams.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. It's like both great teams. They're in the Super Bowl, backs against the wall. This is do or die, but I think the Rams got a little bit more firepower.
All right, I guess it's going to be Rams' house up in SoFi.
You're watching the show this year, you know we are missing a very important voice in our formation, someone who was here with us last year, Terez Paylor. Unfortunately, we lost Terez in the days after the Super Bowl last year, but it has been a year of the family growing. Not only with the fans who have gone out and become part of the All Juice team, buying T-shirts and hoodies and posting hundreds of pictures online, to entire teams that have donned those hoodies in honor of Terez Paylor. We also grew the family by one very important person, Ebony Reed, Terez Paylor's fiance, who has worked over the last year to continue Terez's legacy, moving young voices, diverse voices into the field of journalism through the use of 2 scholarships in Terez's name. We had Terez's fiance, Ebony, on the show, on UPod to Win the Game, to discuss those scholarships earlier this month. Please take a look.
Everyone has sort of processed through their feelings the last year. Often I'm asked about Ebony Reed, Terez Paylor's fiance. But I think people are like, how's Ebony doing?
I'm doing okay. Like, it's definitely an unexpected thing to experience. I don't think there's anything that I could have done in my life or anyone could do to prepare for something like this. I'm really grateful for my counselor and a support group that I joined. There's no way I could be where I am today without the support that I've had. I'm trying to do the things that I think honor him, but also allow me, as my counselor says, to move forward in my life. And I'm working on that, and that is a process. I just keep telling myself, Charles, Terez died, he died happy. I mean, he was happy in his life. And so I try to take some comfort in that. And I think about that. And I also think about how important education was to him. Terez was an excellent student when he was in college, and he always wanted a scholarship. And Terez has 2 scholarships that carry his name. One is at Howard, and Terez has another scholarship. It's the Power Mizzou Journalism Alumni Scholarship in memory of Terez Paylor. And Terez covered the University of Missouri sports. And this one is also really special to me as well because I'm a Mizzou alum. That scholarship now has more than $60,000 has been raised, and our goal this year for it is around $85,000. So fundraising for both of the scholarships continue. And so if people are thinking about him and they want to contribute, they can follow me, Ebony Reed, on Twitter.
We also have in the podcast description, we have ways that people can help to contribute to these scholarships. It's been touching to see so many people want to contribute. And the thing is, it's an extension of who he really is.
America's most reliable network is going ultra with Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband now in many more cities so you can do more. Hey, it's Mindy! Downloading a movie up to 10 times faster than before. Oh, is that the one where the mom becomes a...
Yep.
I knew it. Let's work off-site. Public Wi-Fi? No thanks. 5G Ultra Wideband is faster and safer. And what's this? 5G internet for your home and business. Just plug and play. See ya, cable. 5G Ultra Wideband is now in more and more places. Verizon is going ultra, so you can too.
Yahoo Sports Countdown to Kickoff is presented by Sleep Number, Acura, and by Verizon.
Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff here on Yahoo Sports. It's been a little more than a year since Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hoisted the Lombardi Trophy, and a lot has transpired since TB12 won his 7th Super Bowl. While there have been some bright spots, the past 12 months have seen a domino effect of controversy for Roger Goodell in the National Football League. Yahoo Sports columnist Charlize Manza-Young takes us through the past year, a year like no other in the NFL.
The last year in the NFL has been unlike any in recent memory. The league does thrive on being in the headlines, and while there were high moments, mostly on the field, many of the off-the-field moments drew headlines and attention from people who aren't even casual football fans. And yes, they do exist. The end of the 2020 season was historic. Tom Brady cemented his case as the greatest quarterback in league history by winning a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in his first season with the team and at an incredible 43 years old. Around the same time, the Los Angeles Rams traded for quarterback Matthew Stafford. They were betting that Stafford is better than his time with the Detroit Lions had shown, and he was the piece that the team needed to win it all. Stafford and the Rams won the NFC Championship and are playing in Super Bowl 56 this week. And yet, a familiar issue reared its head during the hiring cycle for head coaches, when just one black man, David Culley, with the Texans, was hired when there were 7 openings. The New York Jets did hire Robert Saleh, the league's first Muslim American head coach, which did mark some progress. Desean Watson, one of the league's bright young quarterbacks, declared that he wanted out of Houston, saying he doesn't trust team management. But that was far from the only story with Watson. In March, over 20 women filed suit against him, claiming he had acted inappropriately during massages. The allegations range from misconduct to assault. Police have gotten involved, and the NFL basically threw its hands up. The league's inaction with Watson pales in comparison to the shameful way it is protecting Washington team owner Daniel Snyder. After multiple stories by the New York Times and the Washington Post about a workplace culture and team offices rife with misogyny and abuse, the NFL took over an investigation into what had happened. But in July, much to the horror of victims and those who support them, the NFL announced a fine for the team and that Snyder wasn't supposed to be involved in the day-to-day activities of the club. But other than a brief statement, there was no report on the findings. It turns out that the NFL told attorney Beth Wilkinson and her team not to produce one. It was and is an appalling disregard for the women who endured such a traumatic experience, and there are multiple allegations that Snyder was not just the overseer of this culture, but a participant. Almost inexplicably, the only person who has faced any real consequences as a result of the Washington investigation is John Gruden. For the second year in a row, COVID-19 hung over the season. The NFL and the NFL Players Association agreed that all players must be vaccinated, and if they weren't, they had to abide by stringent rules. Some players vociferously disagreed. Some players gave in once they realized how much of a pain it was to not get the vaccine. And then there was Aaron Rodgers. Over the course of a few weeks, the Green Bay quarterback executed a WWE-style heel turn. He'd always come across like he believed he was the smartest guy in every room, but after being caught in a semi-truth, because Rodgers told reporters during training camp that he was immunized, we found out after he tested positive for COVID-19 that he had tried to use a clever bit of wordplay. He said immunized, but he wasn't actually vaccinated. When Rodgers was criticized, he went on every media outlet he could find to cry that he'd been canceled. Irony died. Kudos are due to a few players. Eagles offensive lineman Lane Johnson, who announced at the end of October that he had been dealing with depression and anxiety. Another athlete who is further trying to end the stigma around mental health problems that so many of us deal with. Also, Colts second-year running back Jonathan Taylor, who led the league in rushing yards, yards from scrimmage, and touchdowns, and Rams receiver Cooper Kupp, who became the first receiver since 2005 to win the Triple Crown, leading the league in receiving yards, receptions, and receiving touchdowns. For all the off-field turmoil, once the playoffs kicked into gear, the games were thrilling. The 4 divisional round games were decided by a total of 15 points, and both conference championships were close as well, with one going to overtime. In the break between the conference games and the Super Bowl, 2 seismic things happened on the same day. Brian Flores, who had recently been fired by the Miami Dolphins despite back-to-back winning seasons, filed a lawsuit against the NFL alleging racial discrimination in its hiring practices. And Tom Brady, despite another stellar season with the Bucs, announced his retirement after 22 seasons and 7 Super Bowl wins. It will be weird to see a new season begin without Brady, and it remains to be seen what will happen with Flores' suit, but those things are in the future. All the NFL wants is what is now days away, as many televisions as possible tuned to Super Bowl 56 between the Rams and the Bengals.
We're back at the Sportsbook. It's time for our best bets. Frank, kick us off. What do you have for us as your best bet?
You know, I'll be honest with you, Minty. This was a really tough game for me. I think the line is very good. I went back and forth. Finally, I decided just simplify things. And I came down to this. The Rams are the better team in this game. As you talked about before with your trends, only 6 times in Super Bowl history has an underdog not won the game but covered. So you basically just have to pick a winner here. I think the Rams win this game. I just think they're the better team, offense, defense, special teams. Nothing against the Bengals. They've had a great run. But the one matchup in this game I also worry about for the Bengals, how they're going to block against the Rams front. The Rams are going to be able to heat up Joe Burrow like the Titans were a few weeks ago. I don't know that Joe Burrow's necessarily going to be able to take 9 sacks and come back like he did against Tennessee. So I came to the Rams in this. Again, tough line, tough pick, but I think the Rams are the better team. And in Super Bowl history, as Super Bowl history goes, if you pick the winner, the spread usually doesn't matter. What do you got, Minty?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go against you on this one, Frank, and I think you already knew this. I love the Bengals plus 4.5. I already locked it in. I know they have O-line issues. I know their passing defense is kind of weird, and, Joe Burrow doesn't really have much experience, but time of possession is key for Cincy here. Joe Burrow, when he has that ball, he has to make little to no mistakes, and I believe he can do so. He has to keep Stafford and company off the field as much as possible so Cincy's defense can be well rested enough to take on the Rams. The Bengals are great at keeping games close and upsetting the favorites. So I've been riding the Bengals all season long as underdogs, and I will continue to do so till the end. I got Bengals plus 4.5. And I think your next best bet is going to be an MVP pick. Tell us more.
I looked at this, and Cooper Kupp at 6-1 odds really stuck out to me. Because if you're looking at all the players in Super Bowl 56, Cooper Kupp had the best season of any of them. And you're giving me him at 6-1 to win MVP. I think that's a great bet. He's been on a roll these playoffs. He's on that Larry Fitzgerald type of postseason run. I think Cooper Kupp can have a huge game here. And it's usually a narrow runway, right? If a receiver has a big game, so does a quarterback, and people are just going to give MVP to the quarterback. But I think Kupp is a special case here. He's had such a good year. He's such a big name. He's on such a postseason run. 6-1 odds, I think those odds should be about half of what they are, maybe in the 3-1 range. I think that's the kind of season Kupp has had. 6-1 is a steal for me. But I do want it on the record. Von Miller 50-1. Put at least a couple bucks on that because I think that's a long shot that could hit. What about you, Minty? What's your other best bet?
Yeah, that's a lot of value there. My last best bet will be the first half under 23.5 points. Now, I can see the O-lines start off struggling, which will then in turn mean the quarterbacks will scramble a bit. I can see this being a slow start as they will have to rely on the ground game early on. Both teams are top 8 in second half points per game, so I'm going first half under 23.5. Get in on the action on Sunday. New BetMGM customers who bet $10 on the big game will have $200 in free bets added to their account. Go to betmgm.com/YahooVIP to get started. You must be 21 and older. Terms apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Thanks, Minty. It's time now to pick our high-performance players presented by the all-new Acura Integra prototype. These are our picks for a player who will exceed expectations and be named the most valuable player in Super Bowl 56. Charles, you have the honors to begin here.
I mean, look, if the Bengals win this thing, is there any question? Got to be Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL the second half of the season. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's on a roll. We've talked about the it factor. We've talked about all the great skill position pieces around him. But we also forget, he is a great quarterback. He is a great passer. He is someone who I heard, he won't beat the Chiefs. He can't beat Patrick Mahomes. He went out and he did it. And he did it with absolutely that cool demeanor, the belief that they would never lose that game, even when they're trailing, and we'd all written him off in the first half. I think Burrow's on a roll right now. I think there's something special happening with him in the Cincinnati Bengals. And I really, truly believe you can go back to that last year at LSU when you realized in the midst of that season, hey, there's something going on here. It feels like this team is the it team. Right now, that's the Bengals. It's Joe Burrow. That's my MVP.
Oh, I have literal chills. I completely agree with you when you're talking about something special. I don't think you can deny it. We've been mentioning it and hitting on it throughout the show. And, I'm reminded because last year when we did this show, I was the only one to pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I felt like they could beat up on the injury-riddled Chiefs offensive line. So I have to do my own process and say, okay, let's keep myself honest. What's different this year? And I think the answer is last year, Pat Mahomes' O-line injuries were new. The team didn't have a minute to coalesce and figure out what it looked like with that deficiency. Also, Mahomes was dealing with a bad foot, right? Joe Burrow has known about how bad that O-line was since he was drafted. He recovered from an ACL injury largely because of that O-line. This is not a deficiency that is going to blindside him with. It is one that he has managed to deal with and still end up top 10 in nearly every efficiency metric that is recorded. So I agree with you, something is special here. He is playing loose. This game is Joe Burrow's to win and Matt Stafford's to lose. Frank, now I know you like the Rams and you like those 6-1 odds on Cooper Kupp, but is he your pick here?
He is. Again, would like to go to Von Miller, be smart at the end of the day. But when you talk about special, you guys have thrown that word around. Cooper Kupp's season has been special. I think Cooper Kupp should have gotten some regular season MVP love. He's been there every single week, and people just say, why doesn't anybody cover Cooper Kupp? Why don't you double Cooper? Teams are trying. They just can't. He gets open all the time. Matthew Stafford loves him. He's had such a storybook season, and I think it would be so fitting for it to end with him winning Super Bowl MVP at the end of this season, where he's had 2,000 yards total in the playoffs combined. It is a very special season for Cooper Kupp, and I think he can win Super Bowl MVP.
A Hollywood ending in Los Angeles from the home team. I mean, that's the sort of stuff that Tinseltown is made of. Tank, where are you going with this pick?
Yeah, that same theme. I'm going with Matthew Stafford. This guy's going through a lot of adversity in his life and his career. And, you know, he's the #1 overall draft pick. He's gotten broken off with money. He set all kind of stupid records with Megatron and with Cooper Kupp. But I feel like in order for his career to end the right way as an all-time great, like, this dude needs the ball out in this game on this stage. And so this is a legacy game for him. Like, he's had bad Momo for the 12 years that he was in Detroit. But if he can ball out under the lights of SoFi Stadium, under the bright lights of Hollywood, and you put on a show like the Showtime Lakers, like Kobe Bryant, man, that gives you an opportunity to be legendary, and man, I'm here for it. I'm anxious to watch it.
Thanks, everyone. Those are some great picks. Be sure to check out the all-new Acura Integra prototype at Acura.com. We've got one final break here on Yahoo Sports Countdown to Kickoff. When we return, we look back at the year through the lens of social media, and we make our final predictions for Super Bowl 56. Don't go away.
And thanks to my Sleep Number 360 smart bed, I woke up with so much more energy.
So you ran all the way from New York to the Super Bowl?
I scored lemonade!
Eric, what's your secret?
Proven quality sleep from Sleep Number.
Go, Eric, go!
I don't believe that.
That's what running backs do, man. We run.
Hey, bro.
Love your fantasy team.
What? My team sucks.
Yeah, I know. I bet the under on all of your players. Points, rebounds, everything. I can't thank you enough.
Mom! Bet however you want. Yahoo Sportsbook is your ticket to BetMGM.
And we're back on Yahoo Sports, just days away from the Rams and Bengals in Super Bowl 56. But these two teams have been building for this moment for months, maybe even years. Charles, Sean McVay and the Rams were in this game just 3 years ago, falling underwhelmingly to Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Your headline that summer read, Sean McVay knows he screwed up in the Super Bowl and his Rams will be stronger for it. I mean, talk about prescient. When you look at what this team is now, hard to think that last part isn't true.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. When you look at that Rams team, when they came off the field, they had so much work to do to flip that roster. I mean, you could have never imagined that Todd Gurley, who had one of the worst contracts in the NFL, was going to be off that team fairly quickly afterward. That Jared Goff, the Super Bowl quarterback, the guy that they gave the huge extension to after year 3 and was supposed to be the future in Los Angeles, that these were going to be mainstays, cornerstone players. But you have to give credit both to Sean McVay for looking at Goff and saying, look, I know what the limitations are, and we're never going to get over the hump with him. It's a bottom line business, and as much as I like the kid, we have to do something about the quarterback position. And when Matt Stafford became available, Sean McVay was more than willing to step out and essentially admit, look, I made a mistake on Jared Goff, thinking this was going to be a guy who I could move forward with for the next 10 years. And then Les Snead, the front office, the general manager there, to be able to not only offload contracts, but to go, hey, you know what, first round picks, I'll package some of those with Jared Goff just to take that salary off the books, bring in Matt Stafford. We'll burn through other first-round picks to build this team, 9 first-rounders out of their 22 starters on offense and defense. It's been remarkable to see how quickly the Rams were able to flip a Super Bowl roster, the vast majority, by the way, of a Super Bowl roster in only 3 years, and get back here and be the favorite in the game.
That is some growth. Frank, when you look at all the Rams have done to transform the roster these past few years, as Charles has outlined, what stands out the most for you?
Well, it comes down to one trade for me, and it kind of epitomizes what the Rams have done. Look, if you have a 5-year plan in the NFL, you're doing it wrong because you're probably not going to be around 5 years. The Rams live for today. They'll trade those picks for proven players, and they did so with Jalen Ramsey. 2019, during the season, they had an opportunity to go get Jalen Ramsey from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was disgruntled. They sent 2 first-round picks and a 4th for Ramsey to Jacksonville. What has Jacksonville done with those picks? Well, one of them was Levon Chasen, the edge rusher out of LSU. Another first-round pick was Travis Etienne, the running back out of Clemson. Another pick was another edge rusher, Jordan Smith. That was a 4th-rounder. Those guys have combined for 2 sacks, and Etienne didn't even play his rookie year. That just goes to show the draft is a crapshoot. We don't know what we're getting out of draft picks. Proven players might be the way to go. And I think you're going to see other NFL teams follow that blueprint and say, what are we holding on to these draft picks for? Let's win today because we don't know what's guaranteed tomorrow.
Well, that's a good point. They're living in the moment. You know, there's a lot being made about how young these two coaches are, right? How they're the youngest pair of head coaches in Super Bowl history. And I think that becomes more than just trivia when you look at how each of their teams, not just the Rams, was built, right? At first you're like, oh, these are 2 NFL super fans who, oh, no surprise, happen to be high school quarterbacks. But also, these teams, as our NFL senior editor Joey Golino pointed out, look like fantasy squads. I mean, of course, that made my heart sing. But when I think about it, it feels like something that is really real. The emphasis on offense for both teams, and yes, the defense for the Rams, but also, I mean, OBJ, a brand name in the middle of the season, that is a fantasy. Or pairing Jamar Chase, the #1 ranked rookie coming into this year's draft, with his former college teammate for absolute fire, another fantasy. So I like how modern this feels, despite the fact that they're going for big name players. And I feel like you're right, Frank, that this is going to be a trend. I mean, the Dolphins have been trying to do this year after year with bloated contracts on washed players. But the thing that both the Zach Taylor and Sean McVay have done is find these players in their prime and totally capitalize on their upside, which is absolutely a tenet in fantasy football. Tank, my fantasy friend here, can you feel me on this?
No, I definitely feel you, and I want to take this to another fantasy. Like, we've gotten so used to seeing Tom Brady playing Super Bowls. He played in 10 of them that you feel like it's easy to make it to the Super Bowl. So when you're trying to make these narratives in the media, you try to put more emphasis on the Los Angeles Rams winning the Super Bowl because they have a more veteran-laden team, and feel like there's this huge window for the Cincinnati Bengals to win a Super Bowl. Like, if they don't win this year, maybe they win a few years down the road. Yeah, that may be true, or this may be the Bengals' one and only time being in the Super Bowl for another 20 years. Like, I can recall playing in the AFC Championship game my rookie year, and we lost to the Raiders, who ended up losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I felt like, oh, I'll definitely make it to another championship game. I'll definitely make it to the Super Bowl. That was the closest I ever came to winning a championship, and that still eats away at me today. So I think what both of these coaches are going to make sure that they reiterate to their players is that, hey, this isn't a window. Like, this isn't something that we can take advantage of a year or two down the road. This is something that we need to put all our effort into winning right now, because you never know when the opportunity may come again.
Is that a little Slim Shady drop? Maybe a little bit. All right. Well, the social conversation around the NFL is always memorable, to say the least. But here's our own Matt Harmon with a look back at the most memeable moments of 2021.
The 2021 NFL season is coming to an end here with, just like everybody predicted, Odell Beckham being a main figure for the LA Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals being in the Super Bowl. Obviously being facetious there. What's actually a given here is that there's going to be some weird sights and sounds and moments along the way. We're going to recap all the best ones here. let's get right into it. Starting off with this beauty here, the Super Bowl in the calendar year of 2021. So not the game that's coming up. We don't know how that's going to go yet. But the last Super Bowl was the least attended Super Bowl in NFL history. Yeah, no kidding. Basically every birthday, holiday gathering was lower attended. So if you felt bad that you thought no one liked you because they didn't come out to your birthday or your Thanksgiving outing in the past couple of years, don't feel too bad. Moving on to the next one. Of course, one of the biggest things that happened, one of the biggest changes that happened in the 2021 NFL season was the addition of the 17th game. And we got Saints star running back Alvin Kamara here with pretty much what we all kind of thought at first. Is dumb as hell. Well, I actually disagree. I will say this because I came around on the 17th game season, and the reality here is for Alvin Kamara and anyone else out there, in like 3 years, we're just never even going to remember that there was a 16 game season. We just accept the new reality and we keep it moving. I don't think it would be possible to make this video, to do a recap of all things viral, all things social media from the 2021 NFL season and not talk about Antonio Brown's walk-off moment against the New York Jets, potentially the end of Antonio Brown's NFL career. And if this is the end of Antonio Brown in the NFL, frankly, I could not think of something more fitting than him just walking off in the middle of a game. And of course, it took a few days for it to become official, but one of the biggest moments of the 2021 NFL season was, in fact, Tom Brady's retirement. There were reports of it that started leaking out on Saturday. He made it official Tuesday morning. I mean, honestly, this is how good video game graphics have gotten. That's how long Tom Brady has been in our lives. And frankly, I mean, we'll never see anything like Tom Brady's career again. You could cut it up in all different parts and it's all Hall of Fame stuff. I don't think we're ever going to see anything like Tom Brady ever again. And we'll end it here with a quarterback matchup preview that, I don't totally agree with. People think Joe Burrow looks like Macaulay Culkin and Matt Stafford looks like Elon Musk. I think maybe half of that is true, but anyways, it's going to be an electric matchup. I mean, the Bengals getting here, that is unbelievable stuff. Nobody would have predicted that at the start of the season. And the Rams have basically, everybody says they went all in. It looks like it's going to happen here for them. Now I just can't wait to see what the game looks like. Let's see a great Super Bowl. Let's enjoy the moments. And we enjoyed, of course, all of this here that led up to it.
All right, guys, we've broken down a lot of this matchup, from quarterbacks to sleepers to MVPs. Minty and Frank have enlightened us on how to make some money on Sunday. But let's quickly make our final predictions for Super Bowl 56 here. I'm going to go first. As much as we talk about the brilliance of Cooper Kupp and OBJ's resurgence, Joe Burrow's Bengals were #1 in supporting cast efficiency. I think that'll make up for Cincy's other deficiencies. It's the year of the Tiger, baby. Give me the Bengals 27-21. Matt Gay misses a field goal. Charles, you next.
You know what? I have to agree with you. I'm going with the Bengals. I think they're the it team. And you know what? I get it. Everybody's worried about the Rams front end and the Bengals offensive line. I'm worried about the Rams secondary right now, okay? Because once you get beyond Jalen Ramsey, you got to deal with Tyler Boyd. You got to deal with T. Higgins. You're going to have to deal with Joe Mixon, who can, by the way, catch and run. The Rams back end of the defense are going to have their hands full. I think the Bengals win this 28-21.
Frank, come on.
I'd love to jump on this underdog bandwagon, but I just can't. I think the Rams are the better team here. I think Sean McVay has learned those lessons Charles wrote about a few years ago. I just think this is the Rams' time. That star-studded team in their home stadium gets this done 27-21.
Minty, I know you are hitting the tiger emoji on your phone for this pick, right?
You already know. I think it's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be a close game like most Cincinnati games were. So I'm saying Bengals win 27-24.
All right, Tank, close us out.
Man, betting against the Bengals, it feels like sitting at a blackjack table on 16 and the book tells you to hit, but every time you hit, you end up busting out. But damn it, I'm hitting. I feel like the Los Angeles Rams, they just have that one thing, that kryptonite against the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's that defensive front. So I'm going LA Rams 30-27. Joe Burrow, if you stack a whole bunch of singles and hit 21, good for you, dog.
All right, and good for all of us because this should be a Super Bowl to remember, and you should remember that you can see who's right about their pick and watch the game right here on Yahoo Sports mobile app. Thanks everyone for joining us here on Countdown to Kickoff, and be sure to keep up with all the latest NFL and Super Bowl news this weekend with Yahoo Sports on social media. For Charles, Frank, Tank, and Minty, I'm Liz Loza. Thanks for watching and enjoy the game.
Shakira, Shakira.